Good morning. Happy Friday. Guys, the week has been so busy, but we have made it to Friday. So I hope you guys are having a great day. I just want to thank you guys again for being here, for watching these videos. If you don't know me, if you've never been here, welcome. I share just daily encouragement. I want you guys to be on fire for Jesus and just be excited about this walk, this life, and just the journey of everything. There is joy to be had with the Lord. So today's video, I was reading in Deuteronomy about God and timing, right? And so this video is for you. If you feel like you are falling behind, if you feel like, man, I'm too old for this. I should have done it years ago. Look at all these people. They're getting all this stuff and I'm so behind. This video is for you because today I'm just going to encourage you and remind you that God's timing is so different than ours. So in Deuteronomy 7, we start talking about, a lot of it talks about the character of God, how he is loving and merciful and just, how he can do things miraculously and instantaneously. He can change your life. Have you ever, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you just feel like, God, I have been stuck in this position for so long, and when is it going to be my turn? When is it going to be my turn? And sometimes during those moments of desperation, we fall out of the will of God because we are so frustrated, desperate. We start leaning on our own understanding. We start believing that we know better than God. And so instead of being patient and waiting on him, we start making moves that are not for us. I feel like those seasons have come and gone so many times in my life. And I want to tell you a little bit about how perfect God's timing is through an example of what I have experienced. You all know I love to share stories, but so I have been a PA for 11 years now. I love what I do, but I have had a little bit of a rocky career as far as like how many jobs I've had. There was a season in my life where I was the only breadwinner and I was working 3 jobs and it was chaotic and everything, but God is so good and he just is a God that redeems and restores. But there, in my previous job, as I have mentioned in other videos, I was really burning out. I was like, God, like, I don't know how long I can be here. I'm trying to be as positive as I can and coming here to serve your people. But Lord, like, I'm miserable, like I'm burning out, like I have so much stuff going on. I can't keep going at this pace because I'm at the end of it. I remember the days that I would sit in the parking lot crying and I would I would drive to work just dreading going to work. There's a road that I take every day to work, and it's like a walking trail. And I would see these people running and walking in the middle of the morning, and I'm like, what did they do? What did they do that they get to do that? Like, here I am, like, going to work and I'm just so miserable, but these people look all happy. They're just walking and, enjoying life. And some of them are young and some of them are old. And, I'm like, okay, well, maybe some of them are just retired, but I'm like, well, what are the young people doing? Like, you know what I mean? You've been there where you see things and you're like, why can that be me? Right. And I remember those days like so clearly of having that question of like, why is it not happening for me? And like, when is it going to be my turn? But I kept going. I kept pushing through. I knew that God was going to have something for me. And in my doing, I was always looking for another job. I was like, okay, well, I'm not happy here, so it must mean that I need to have another job, right? So I was looking and I had applied to some places and I was like, man, the grass is not greener on the other side. Like, I've been here before and I just feel like I've had such a, bad luck. And so long story short, I applied for this job where I didn't have experience. at all. I didn't have experience. I only had experience in like one thing, and the rest was going to be completely new. These are the jobs that like people want to be in and have a really hard time getting because they want you to have experience, right? Sorry guys, there's like something in my eye. So I applied for the job, and I remember going in there and just being like so self-conscious because I feel like I don't have anything to offer, but I'm just gonna do it. And I applied for the job and I did not get it. It ended up being that it went to somebody else that I actually knew. And anyways, that happened, right? So I kept going to work. I kept just trucking and just going along and doing the best that I could in the situation that I had. And then all of a sudden, a year later, almost to the date, a year later, I get a text from the doctor who is my now boss. Okay. And he's like telling me that he wants me to go work for him out of the blue. God changed my life instantly, miraculously, by stirring the heart of this doctor and reminding him of a candidate that he already had. And he sent me a text, It was a job that honestly I didn't deserve, in the sense that like I had no qualifications other than the fact that I had some experience with one particular thing, but like everything else I was gonna have to learn. But I was willing and I was able, I knew I was capable of doing it. And apparently so did God, and so did this doctor, because he knew when my name came up in his mind, you know what, I'm gonna message her. And that is a really good example of when God is going to do something in your life, he will do it, and you have to trust that he will do it. But in the moment, it is our responsibility to just take it a day at a time, a step at a time. So in reading this morning in Deuteronomy, I wrote down, we have to slow down and work one step at a time. Trust God to make up the difference between where you are now and where you should be. Soon you will look back and see that a miraculous transformation has occurred. I just feel this so much, because there are so many things in my life that I can look back at now and I'm like, wow, God, you made it happen. And we are so caught up in what everybody else is doing. I have talked about this many times before, but we start comparing ourselves to other people, and we start coveting the things that they have, and that gives us misery, that steals our joy in the moment, that we go on with life just not living it up to its potential, to how God wants us to live, because we're so caught up in where we're not, that we forget that where we are right now is where we need to be. And that's for everything. Whether you are looking for a spouse and you feel like, God, I'm just tired of being single and I want a spouse. Guys, I just wish I could go through all the examples, but I met my husband out of the blue, unexpectedly. And here we are, we met in 2011. We've been married for 10 years. We have 3 beautiful kids. Like, I did not know the story. I did not know where I would be, but I look back now and it was so timely. God made it happen when it was supposed to happen. It wasn't my doing. It was his will for my life. And it was up to me to look around and see the qualities in him that other people didn't have. But he made me go through trials, or I had trials, I should say, where God was just teaching me something about relationships, teaching me something about knowing my worth, teaching me something about what you don't want in a partner or a spouse. Like, I went through hard relationships that like they hurt so much, but yet God gave me the right person at the right time. And here we are living a life that I never could have expected. We get so caught up in what we don't have. We need to stop doing that. We need to start focusing where we are. And if you're going through a season where it just feels super hard and you're like, God, like, but what is it that you have for me here? Are you praying that? Or are you just complaining? Are you praying and talking to God about it and telling him, God, I don't know why you're putting me in this situation, what I'm supposed to learn. But God, I surrender it and I just leave it at your feet. And I pray that you help me, We need to be specific about our prayers. We need to bring it to the Lord so that he can carry the burdens that we have been carrying, that things that we are so like we're letting it weigh us down when there is somebody that's willing to take it for you. Like even, okay, I'm going to give you another example. Like if you're waiting on a child, and you know that God has given you a vision that you will be a mother or a parent, if you're a male watching this, and you just don't know when it's going to happen, you have to continue to believe that God is a God that keeps his promises. If he's given you that promise, he will make it happen. But in the meantime, are you living a life with joy? Or are you complaining or just looking at everybody else and saying, well, God, why is that not me? I get it. I understand the suffering and the pain that goes through difficulties to get pregnant. I understand if you've had a miscarriage. I've had a miscarriage and I understand, and I get it, like, guys, but we have to start living in the moment, because there's still so much life to be lived and so much joy to be had, and the lessons that we're going to get taught through the suffering, through the pain, through the hard times. I just feel like God teaches us in a slower pace. He chooses to go slow in teaching us one lesson at a time. And we don't know why. We don't know why we have to wait. We don't know why it's happening to us, but it's not for us to understand. It's just for us to open up our eyes and start living. I've mentioned this in other videos, but like one thing that I had to come to terms with is that I kept feeling like there was a destination of like a goal that I had to get to, and that was it. And when I realized that it was not about that it was not about a goal, about achieving, about, that getting somewhere wasn't going to make me happy. For example, the job, the spouse, the kids, the home, the financial success, like if I get there, those things are going to make me happy. Nope. That is not what gives us joy. Joy comes from the Lord. And the only way that you can have joy from the Lord is if you are in his presence every day, if you are having a relationship with him every day, which means that joy is to be had every single day. You can have joy today, but you have to change your perspective, because you're focusing on the mountain, you're focusing on the giants. And the Lord is like, don't you see what I have done? Don't you see what you have been through and what I got you through? Don't you see what I am doing? Are you holding on to hope? Are you holding on to the promise that God has given you? The Israelites were in the wilderness for 40 years, and yet he still delivered on his promise of getting them to the promised land the way that he said that he would. Did it come through trials and suffering? Absolutely. Did they learn something from that? Absolutely. We are no different than the Israelites. The only difference is that in the Old Testament times, the Lord would appear to them in this way, and he would talk to these prophets, right? The difference now is that we get to come to him and have a relationship with him. There is no tabernacle, there is no veil, there's nothing between us and God. We can come to him because of the sacrifice that Jesus made for us. He made that happen for us, that now we can come up to a holy God the God, the creator of all things. We can come to him and ask him and repent and, lay things at his feet. Like, we're able to do that. But are you doing it? Guys, I know that this is meant to reach somebody today because you're getting caught up in feeling like you're left behind. And I'm just here to remind you that you're not. That God can do things in a way that is miraculous and instantaneous. He will catch you up to where you need to be, but he requires your obedience. He requires that you come to him and that you have a relationship with him. Like, he desires that so much. He loves us so much that he wants the best for us. We just have to be open and willing to come to him. I pray that this message encourages you and that you share it with somebody that needs the encouragement. And like always, if you like this video, like and subscribe and share this channel with anybody that needs it. We'll see you guys tomorrow.